Warning: Josh is not an expert in any of the crap he talks about. He simply uses his head and does a lot of research so you, the audience, don't have to. Keep in mind, he doesn't know everything, so take the he says with a grain of salt.
What's going on, everyone, and welcome back to the podcast that's going to change the world. Today, actually going to be doing a good episode about lifting, exercising, as well as dieting and more. And I actually have a very good friend with me, an old high school buddy with me, Mr. Adam Beebe. If you want to
Hello,
introduce
everybody.
yourself.
Yeah, I'm Adam Beebe. I think the first time I met Josh here was actually in the chemistry class that made me hate chemistry forever. So,
For
yeah,
real. Yeah, it's been a long time. It's been quite a few years since we've even touched base, but it's good to see you, man.
no, yeah, it's kind of funny because I think I delete Facebook like every now and then because I try to do those social media cleanses, and then every time I get Facebook back, you always add me, and I'm like, oh yeah, like we're still connected, and then it's like finally with this whole COVID thing and the Zoom meeting is like normal now. So I guess, this is kind of us coming back together a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. And dude, you look good. Like you look really good. I remember like it's all love, but like during high school and
Mm-hmm.
everything, you were a bit on a little bit the heavier side, but like you've
Mm-hmm.
you've bounced back and you have your own YouTube channel now that you're showing your progression. Damn, dude. Like
Yeah, no,
damn,
I
you're doing really
appreciate it.
good.
Yeah, and it's kind of funny you say that because I did it once before.
Mhm.
At my worst, I think I was about 250, maybe a little bit heavier. I always didn't keep track of it, especially back when I was heavy because I didn't care to know, or I didn't want to lose weight or anything like that. But
Yeah.
during uh I can't remember if it was junior or senior year of high school, but I was in wrestling, and I was in the heaviest weight class, so I didn't really mind at all just getting heavier. So I just ate and ate and ate, and I think I was about 250 at the time, but right now I'm floating around 200. And the last time that I got shredded, well, I don't want to say shredded, but last time I got a six pack, I was all the way down to 171 for a day. So
Damn.
that was a pretty big difference, almost 80 pounds there. So
Yeah, that's a very big difference. And honestly, kudos to you, man, because literally I've been watching a lot more of your the videos and everything you've been posting on YouTube. I watched your meet just this weekend.
mhm.
I thought that was pretty badass. And it's just like it honestly, you've been a bit of a motivator for me as well, just working out and actually getting that habit going. But seeing a lot of your progress is pretty insane, especially with how much you're walking, you're running and everything. It's like, damn.
Yeah, no, that's I guess that's one of the challenges that I have for myself right now is just to see not how much I can specialize in one thing, but just how much I can get overall fitness.
Yeah.
And I don't know about you, but in the past, I've been a hater of CrossFit, but now my roommate is a former CrossFit instructor. So I've kind of warmed up to a little bit more. And the actual definition of CrossFit is pretty sweet. I can't think of it off the top of my head, but it really is just about being able to have fitness in as many modalities as you can, you know?
Mm. Yeah,
And
because I've never really known much about CrossFit. Like I've always heard there's like always kind of like good or bad or like some stigmas to it, but I've never really known anything particular.
yeah, no, and that's something that he says. And it's kind of interesting to hear it from him because, he's obviously a proponent of CrossFit, whereas
Hmm.
most people that you meet are either into CrossFit or they're against it. And there are definitely some stigmas and some things that give it a bad rep. But I think overall, the message that they're trying to deliver is pretty similar to mine. Just having fitness in all ways possible to make you as happy as possible. And yeah, yeah. So
Yeah, I can agree to that. It's one of the things that I've been noticing as well for me lifting because I got finally got back into exercising and everything after my surgery because I had to get um having brain for what it's called a laparoscopic appendectomy, so it was like a major abdominal surgery.
mhm.
So like a month and a half afterwards I was just like, okay, it's my stomach was still finally recovering. I'm like, I need to get into the gym, at least get something going, because I'm pretty sure a lot of the fact that I developed appendicitis was also a lot of my diet and
Mhm.
obviously not exercising and everything, so I feel like that really played a factor into it. But yeah, it's seeing your progress and everything, including what you've posted so far with CrossFit, what you've posted with your bench, your deadlifts, and everything. I've been kind of like looking at that. It's like, damn, it's like fuck yeah, if he could do it, then I could definitely get something going. So It's been really good. It's been really cool. I've just finished 13 weeks, going 5 days a week. Now I'm on to week 14. I'm gonna be starting this week.
Yeah. And I think that's one of the hardest things. And it's always, and it's funny, like I said before, this is the second time that I've gotten in shape, I guess. But what's always made me post to YouTube is that, like, the benefits of being in shape are so uh I don't know, they're really great, but it's just getting over that hump and getting to fitness that is the hardest part. Like the beginning really is
Yeah,
the hardest part. And um there are a lot of fitness influencers on YouTube that I've been swayed by and misled a lot down the years. And
yeah,
honestly, like, I don't have a huge following, and I obviously I would like to have a huge following, but my goal is just to uh kind of just get people through that hump,
yeah.
because I don't know, once you get here, like to where I'm at right now, it just seems like,
Like natural
I don't
almost.
know. I don't know why I would go back. Like, I was so
Yeah.
blind before, thinking that fitness was difficult and I would just stay away from it. But now it's just an integral part of my day. And if I don't do some type of exercise, I feel terrible, you know?
Same. The same.
So,
That's what happened with me too. Like that the my main focus when I started lifting again was to create like the mental habit, but just like the habit of that I just build it into my routine. And so I kind of created the association that working out was like coffee. If like you know how some people if they don't get their coffee in the morning, they're just a
mhm.
Grinch all day. That's how I did it, kind of did it too. So if I don't get my gym time in, then I'm just not in the right mood. And but once I get it in, then I just feel so much better.
Yeah. And something that I can see anecdotally now, and if anybody watching or listening is into fitness and they watch some of these influencers, or even someone like Joe Rogan who talks about fitness a lot, that's actually where I got most of my information, is fitness podcasts on JRE. um it's just, it's so almost necessary to human existence, just physical activity. And like the
Yeah.
more we go into the future, it seems like physical activity is getting phased out incrementally, and it's super sad for me to see. um I just wish it could be cool again. There was a time whenever
Yeah.
fitness and sports and things, that was like the cool thing to do and everybody wanted to go be active. But now it's like everybody just thinks it's cool to complain about fitness, and they want to be more lazy. Like, that's, I don't know. It's just a real paradigm shift lately.
Yeah, I've noticed that too. And to kind of before we started recording, what the episode that Joe Rogan recently recorded, I don't know the guy's name, but they were talking about technology and how the tools that we've created is actually making us weaker as a species because
Mm,
we're not having to rely so much on those physical attributes and so on. And then
mm-hmm,
because we're more so now leaning towards using our brain versus our actual body, it's creating a lot more things that are issues that are coming up per se. And he was actually talking about as well, like the guy that Joe Rogan was interviewing was discussing how they were saying the more screen time you have, the more that you're on the computers and everything, the more that it does actually attribute to mental health issues. And then also that can also tie in with motivation, just being able just like sitting there watching all these fitness influencers, all these other people, and you're just like you're trying to get over that hump that you were talking about earlier to
mm-hmm.
get going and then start to seeing results and just to keep on persevering. And it's just being stuck on this on the phone or being stuck on the screen time and then just relying on the technology like you were saying more so it yeah I see a lot of that too, just taking away from us physically.
Yeah, and I hope that we're just in some type of adaptation period right now.
Hmm.
And they talk about it all the time, how technology has progressed more in the past 10 years than 100 years ago or whatever, like that.
Right.
um so it's just happening really quick, and it seems apparent to me that humans aren't ready for all this technology, and the changes are coming so quickly that, I mean, if food the way it is now is so much different than it was whatever 200 years ago, that if it was a little bit more gradual, we might be able to eat pizza and have ice cream without having such ill effects. But
Right.
if you have a diet of strictly ice cream, pizza, and candy, like you're gonna guarantee a shorter life and less health and stuff like that. But
Hmm.
I have hope for the human race that this is just a growing pain,
Yeah.
and we'll come out of it, and maybe in 50 years, everybody will be running around with six packs and eating pizza and ice cream, and it won't really affect them that bad. But yeah,
Yeah, we just gotta go through that dip before the rise.
yeah, the
And
ebb and the flow.
exactly. And what I've noticed too, I've been seeing a lot more is that there's also a lot more research and everything coming out that we're now having like plastic particles and everything in our food. So that as well is going to be leading to more physical ailments and everything, whether it's short term or long term or something that's going to be genetically inherited through different generations. But that as well is also going to make it more difficult to have health, be fit and everything, and just kind of like be the optimal you.
hmm Yeah, it's kind of like stuff like that that makes you want to just like shore up and go move out in the woods or something. Like you're just
Yeah.
not gonna avoid it in the modern world. Everything has plastic in it. Everything that you eat from the store is going to be packaged in some type of plastic. It's a little daunting.
Yeah, and it's unless you could just do everything yourself naturally, grow your and have your own farm animals, grow your own food and everything. Yeah, you're no matter what, you're gonna be stuck with that issue. And I think that's where, like with the whole dip before the rise, we're gonna be seeing the effects from all this stuff, from the technology and how badly it is actually affecting ourselves as a species physically, mentally. But we're also gonna see as a whole, like as a society, as a global society, we're going to see like, okay, all this stuff that we're pumping in and out of our food, all the plastic and everything, all this stuff, we're going to start seeing the effects, and it's not going to be pretty. So I think once we start like seeing that catching on, then majority of people will start to catch on like, okay, like we need to do something about this for our own health, for our own sake, for our own fitness and everything.
Definitely. And it's kind of unfortunate. Just don't get me wrong, I love capitalism and everything, but it isn't helpful in these type of ways, right?
Yeah.
Like it's the cheapest thing, it's the most profitable thing right now, just to continue making products like this. And until us as customers use our dollar to vote for something different,
Hmm.
um, we got to stop buying plastic and start buying biodegradable stuff for that to make that shift. And then it'll get cheaper, and all the companies will start producing things that way. But just like you said, until the mass populace of sheep start to like wake up and say,
Yeah.
hey, I don't want freaking plastic in my body anymore, then we're all going to have to deal with whatever they want. So
Yeah.
capitalism has its pros and cons, I guess.
Yeah, and that's why because like I've done a lot of my own like research and try to learn the best I can regards like capitalism, socialism, all this different stuff and everything. But it was like with capitalism, there needs to be like certain safeguards to help balance the flow of like greed and everything that typically
hmm
arises. Like monopolies, for example, the railroads during I don't remember if it was like the 1800s or like the early 1900s, but the railroad monopolies and the effect that had on society, and the fact that we do actually have legit monopolies now born from capitalism that's having a very negative effect, like Amazon, Nike, like almost all of our major brands, international brands, all have like a factor in that stuff as well.
Sure.
And
Yeah.
it's the whole, the advertising, the kind of, and it's like the whole turning the plastic straws into paper straws. Like there's a lot of companies that I feel like try to like act like they're pushing towards like trying to do the healthier thing, all the better choices, but really it's not really that better to begin with, because the paper straws only ends up beating up more stuff and causes more pollution.
Yeah. And it's kind of funny that we're going down this what people might think is a segue, but I think it goes hand in hand with all this fitness stuff. And
Oh yeah.
I'm sure we'll get to it eventually, but just mental health, um, which are the two main content and what I'm doing speaking to the world.
Hmm.
But it's not I guess it's not really our fault, right? Because we're gonna
Yeah.
go to the lowest hanging fruit, more or less. Like it's just
Yeah,
it's
that's just
our
kind of how we are.
natural, yeah, it's our predisposition just to go for whatever is most efficient. So um yeah, seeing the companies try, and then it's still like I would venture to guess that a majority of the population doesn't really care whether or not their straw is plastic or paper. I, for
Yeah,
one, think that the paper straws make soda taste terrible. So
same.
I vote against it, honestly. I'd rather just have no straw at all. But yeah, that's one of the things with something like Tesla. For a while, everybody was thinking that the Teslas were better for the environment because they're electric and you're not, directly burning gas into the atmosphere. But your electricity is coming from a coal plant. Your electricity is
Hmm.
coming from some type of electrical generation facility that's still using carbon,
Yeah, or that's
so
still pumping out some form of pollution.
right. The only way really to avoid that is to have a solar panel set up on your roof and then charge your
Mhm.
car through that. But then now the mining of the materials to get the solar panel is actually quite detrimental to the earth as well. So it's like,
Yeah, and then
what
the
really are
solar
we gonna
panels
do?
themselves have some type of toxic potential pollutant as well, because there was like articles that was coming out on like the potential dangers of not disposing of the solar panels properly.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's all over the place. I think that the humans make a valiant effort to be good Samaritans of the earth, but honestly, we're just animals doing our thing, and I think we should just let everything take its course, and
Yeah.
it'll figure itself out in the end. But yeah,
Yeah, not take so many shortcuts. Like it's to kind of like tie in ultimately, which is already going to include everything we've been talking about, fitness, mental health, and just dieting and everything as a whole. It's with a lot of it, it's just had a brain fart. Had a brain fart. But it was a lot of it. I feel like it's all circling just back to the one thing. It's we have a lot of people and a lot of like these big companies that some will have good intentions to try to make these changes, but then there are others that are just kind of like acting like they're making these good changes, but it's really just redirecting the problem
oh yeah,
elsewhere.
yeah,
And I feel like our society and just collectively as a human race as a whole, with we're trying to find too many shortcuts with our way of living, with our health, with our way of eating, with how to get the nutrition, with how to get cut, how to lose weight, how to get fit and everything. We're so occupied with trying to find all these shortcuts that we're only bringing up the toll greater before the price really starts to get too heavy for us.
yeah. And I don't know, this is so funny. I like to the viewers, like this segues and like we don't talk about lifting at all, and it just becomes conspiracy theory podcast. Like I think that'd be hilarious. But
That'd be
no, it's
funny.
it's something that I've said before, and as we're starting to blur the lines of the topics that we're talking about, I definitely feel like most successful industries today are just preying on the weak, or at least our weaknesses, right? Because
Yeah,
everybody's
our
got their
vices
vice.
and everything.
Yeah, exactly. So everybody would like to be or okay, I won't say everybody, but a majority of people want to be in better shape. So if you can give them that magic pill, or say that you can,
Yeah.
then they're gonna listen, and they're probably gonna buy your product. And then if you have some type of scapegoat, it's like, oh well, you did my plan, but you didn't do it exactly right. So
Right.
that's why you didn't get any results. And it's like, okay, they did your plan, and then they gain like 20 pounds. That's that's not
Yeah.
like a small straying. It's like it is the opposite effect, bro. Like, so
Exactly. Like a good example, and this is something I have personal experience with because I've seen the ramifications that it has, is the gastric bypass surgery. It
mm,
could be good based off my experience, it could be good in the sense is if you follow the diet that they give you to a T for the rest of your life. Because with the gastric bypass surgery, they essentially cut out a chunk of your stomach and then sew it back together, and it's a lot smaller. And you have to stay on a strict liquid diet for a certain period of time, but the portions that you can eat have to be very specific and have to be small because you could very easily tear your stomach open from expanding it and everything. And I've known people personally who've got the gastric bypass, as a shortcut to be able to get that magic pill to lose all this weight, then start gaining muscle and everything, but it ended up backfiring even worse because some of
yeah,
the people I've known that have gotten the surgery ended up having just so much worse health conditions come up as a result of it, like
yeah,
very bad, where it's like muscular dystrophy, coming to like serious intestinal issues, to where bulimia, um and everything. It does lead to a lot of issues and everything. And then I feel like, everybody, like you were saying, good Samaritans, we all have good intentions to an extent and everything and stuff like that. But it definitely falls a lot on the individual. And I feel like the more promotion of the individual mind, like for us to be individuals and to think for ourselves, I think that right there will especially help with kind of breaking these vices, not being so caught up with these short-term gratifications, and instead looking at, okay, what's the real way that I could, get myself fit, lose weight, improve my diet, my mental health in the most optimal way without having to create any shortcuts that could potentially come back with even worse ramifications. I'm having much mouth.
Yeah, no, it's no, talk about a cost. And the individuality thing, man, that's just a hard mold to break.
It
I don't know
is.
how long we've been in it, or when we were cavemen, were we so hive minded like this, but it's just terrible right now. I think
Hmm.
it's funny because all these industries that we're talking down on, that are taking advantage of our weaknesses and everything, they advertise to individuality,
Hmm.
but for some reason it's only resulted in more tribalism, I think. Like it
Yeah, I
just
agree.
seems like that. Like maybe Adidas makes a commercial saying like, you be an individual, but then by hopping on Adidas's train, you've just joined a million other people that are on Adidas's train. So how much of an individual really are you? Right?
Yeah.
it's
And
it's difficult.
it's very difficult, and it's very difficult to try to find a balance, because it's like there are like good occasions where joining that train or anything like that is actually a good cause, but
Hmm.
then it's not. And it's just, that's where the individual really comes into play. They need to be able to distinguish whether or not they're just following something that is purposely misleading them or any type of context like that, or if what they're following or joining is genuinely for a good cause.
Right. Yeah, no, that's no, that's a big one, man. Just,
Yeah.
where are people's actual motivations originating from and stuff like that. It's just, and there's a bunch of that going on right now.
Hmm.
Any large organization that is boasting that they want for better, but really what are like the head people's aims? Like, are they just looking for power and they just know how to manipulate you, or
Yeah.
do they really believe in the cause? It's seems like a scary world to live in. I don't know. Maybe it would have been easier just to chill in a bungalow with, the three or four people that for your whole life, and just hunt
Yeah.
animals and build fires. I don't know. But yeah.
To be at times, I feel like it would be so much nicer to go back to like a time like that. Even when we were just kids, it just, things felt a lot simpler, a lot less scary. And then and even our parents' generations and their generations have never experienced the stuff that's happening now with the acceleration of technology and the effects it's having on us. The fact that the more time we actually are spending, and this is something that, back to that Joe Rogan episode, is backed up by some scientific evidence. The more time that we spend on our phones, on behind computer screens and everything, the more that it's going to lead to further mental health issues and stuff like that, or even making it worse because of the blue screen and just what it does to your brain neurologically and chemically speaking. Because like for like kids, for example, the younger they are, is you have to have a less screen time, because if you expose like a 1-year-old to a very large amount of screen time, whether it's cartoons or anything like that, it does actually change their brain, the neurological structure of their brain, their cognitive and language development and everything. And that's why we just like almost need to like find a balance, because of how quickly and how much long-term effect these instant gratifications and all this stuff that's going on with our society right now, and all these big companies, or even just like these big influencers and everything that's pushing like their own offset agenda or anything like that. We're really starting to see the effects now. And it's a scary time to live in.
It's so unfortunate, man. And you know how common that is now. How, like, and it's funny that you brought it. I just had like a flush of nostalgia, from whenever we were kids. Like,
Hmm.
I don't even think I don't know, man. The flip phone might have came out when we were kids,
Yeah.
and like now it's like if I see a 6-year-old without a smartphone, it's kind of weird. Like
Yeah.
every little kid is playing video games on an iPad or something, watching their shows on the iPad in the back of the car. Like I, I didn't even have one of those TV screens that was attached to the back seat or anything, to
Same.
watch movies on road trips. It was just sitting in the car listening to music, and
Yeah.
it is just insane how much technology these kids have. And I don't know, I don't know if that Joe Rogan podcast went into it, but I think about this very thing very often. It's just I wonder how 23-year-olds in the 20s felt like as things were coming out, like when the first
Yeah.
cars started developing, or like they got the TV, got electricity. Whenever World War I, World War II happened, like did it seem more or less intense than the stuff that we're seeing now going on, or is it all just relative? Because it seems
Yeah.
like the older I get, I become that old person that's like, oh, these kids are just messed up, and like they're just,
Same.
it's like weird, but the old people are just right all the time. Like they've been through the same thing we have, just in a different setting. It's very odd.
Yeah, I see that too, because there's a lot of times where like the reason why I don't have a TikTok account is because I feel too old for it. And it's fucking hilarious. I'm only 20, I'm only like 25. I'm
Yeah.
not really that old, but it's just it makes me feel old. And then like some of my coworkers are like 18, around the age, stuff like that. And it's just I will see differences between the generations and everything. So like I get those feelings a lot with the whole like feeling old, and then like I see them like say the same stuff or like act the same way that I have before, and it's kind of like seeing deja vu almost. But it's weird. It's weird seeing a lot of the stuff, but and then it's weird seeing how a lot of the things that like our parents talked about, for example, is right, or like right to an extent, and now we're seeing the impact and the results from it now. And
Yeah,
then
we're
like with
living it.
exactly, and with the fact that 6-year-olds are walking around with all the time with phones and tablets now, like how do you think how are we going to think that's going to affect their health, their physical health? They're going to be more interested being stuck at the screen for 6-8 hours plus, or as long as they can, versus actually going outside, like when we were kids, having to go outside and do things, be physical, and not having so much access to all this technology and everything, because I feel like that's really gonna impact health and fitness in the long term. And like you were saying, how you feel like physical activity is getting kind of phased out. I feel like the more that we expose and technology to the younger generations and take out physical activity, the more we're going that route.
Yeah. And it's one of those that's one of those things that you would hope the human race would adapt to,
Hmm.
but it depends on your beliefs or whatever. But with natural selection, we just don't have that much of that anymore. Like maybe, you know, having the phones and having those negative effects will cause people to get so depressed they don't mate and further the population. And then the people that aren't as affected do mate. Like, I don't know how that's all going to go down. But um yeah, what a terrible thing to have to adapt to. Like
Mm.
it seems like it would be more fun to have to adapt to danger, like tigers chasing after you or needing to chase an animal to hunt it. Like that adaptation phase is like you getting stronger and like seeing
Yeah.
your kids get more able and stuff like that. But now, like, all we have to look forward to is our kids and grandkids like getting less depressed. Like that's just so sad. And it's
It is sad. Like literally over the pandemic, it was reported like 70 to 90% of Generation Z were depressed because of the pandemic and everything that's going on. And it's really sad. And they're all stuck behind screens. They're not having any chance to be physically active or socially interactive with everybody, because I mean a lot of our social interactions going through high school, middle school, and everything, probably if we didn't go through all those interactions and have those experiences, we wouldn't be the people we are now, and so independent, and I'd say more like goal orientated with like improving and stuff like that.
mhm. Yeah. And with all this on mind, there's there's this one YouTube channel called The Bioneer, and he does a lot of stuff I take a lot of inspiration from him actually. It's like fitness and mental health and
Mm-hmm.
optimizing mental function is basically the aim of his channel. And he talks about how we just through our own activities day to day can change the genes that we pass on to our kids.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess that's why, like, whenever I make a video and I'm talking about cardio, one of the things that I said in that Seco video, or how to lose weight, was that if you don't like exercise, then I would just suggest that you do something that you can do simultaneous with a screen, because everybody does love screens right now,
Mm-hmm.
playing video games, listening to podcasts, watching music videos, stuff like that. Um, if you hop on a treadmill and watch YouTube for an hour, I see that as a win. Like,
Yeah.
you were going to watch the YouTube anyway. So if you hop on the treadmill and just do it at the same time, you're going to burn a lot of calories. And just the hormonal effects of exercising will, to a degree, kind of counteract what's going on with the phone,
Right.
just the overall health that it gives. It might help balance. And maybe if you make a habit out of that, of having fitness and a screen in hand, where they work
Mm-hmm.
together and they're kind of symbiotic, that you can pass it on to your kid. And maybe we will come out of this whole adaptation phase better, you know?
Yeah, like it'd be better. It would be smarter for us to pick up better and more positive habits that we could pass on versus like the bad habits that we're currently going through now. Kind of like that.
Yeah. And, I'd hate to get dogmatic on anyone listening.
Yeah.
I don't uh, go for that at all. I'm not trying to tell people, get off the phones. Don't do that. Like, you need to cut off all social media and just go start running every day. Like, that's
Right.
that's your enjoyment. That's where you get your dopamine from. I'm saying, like, balance is key in all
Hmm.
this stuff. And, that's been said so many times, it's a broken record, that balance is the way to fitness and to mental health and all that stuff, a happy life. But it really is. And,
Hmm.
that's one of the hardest messages to convey to people, because I think it is best learned through experience, so just me
Right.
telling people is something, but it's not enough most of the time. So
Yeah, and like for me personally, just trying to go through that hump of having to still go through like persevere through the diversity of the constant grind, going to the gym every day and having to wait several months to see the results and to get that dopamine gratification,
mm-hmm.
having fucking mush mouth, to get that gratification from
Yeah.
seeing the actual results. And I think that's where especially like the difference between like telling people and like people actually seeing and experiencing themselves, that's where the difference really comes into play. Because like my whole mentality when going back into exercising and everything, I'm doing what's comfortable for me. I'm not like trying to like go like make it way over complex or trying to break it down way unnecessary and just kind of like killing my own interest in the process. I just kind of went in with the mentality that I'm going to do what's comfortable for me and I'm just going to go from there. And like I'm starting to see progression now and I'm like trying to find the balance between everything, because what I actually did to try to find the balance between like trying to handle everything else, social media, going just, basic bullshit online and everything, while also trying to keep my physical health in a priority as well, is
Mm-hmm.
that I laid out my daily schedule as like 24 hours. So I just marked it out entirely, figure out what times I do have available that I'm in. Like for example, I have like 4 or 5 hours out of every day that generally free time. Now
Mm-hmm.
I'll have a bad habit of instead using that free time to just bullshit, watch YouTube videos and stuff like that. But by laying out the 24 hours, it kind of cuts out the excuse of like, oh, I never have time to work out, get into shape and stuff like that. So that kind of helped me find the balance between that.
Yeah. And, that's one of the hardest things. And if you have some type of fitness activity that you really do enjoy, and it seems like leisure time, which is a very hard transition to make,
Yeah.
to see, like, going and doing jump rope for 10 minutes is like, I like, that's fun. It's the same enjoyment level as like sitting down and playing a game of COD, or
Right.
logging into World of Warcraft or something. Like, that's a very hard transition to make. So for most people, I think they would be having the same issue as you, and doing whatever you can to find that balance, and just the longer you do it, the more normal it will become, and the
Yeah.
more likely that that transition can happen, right? Um, but for anyone looking for something like super simple, Pavel Satsulin, the spelling is kind of weird. Maybe you can overlay the spelling on the screen or put it in the description later on. But
Yeah.
he's from Russia, and
Okay.
his whole thing is simple and effective. And honestly, like right now, I'm trying to do this new plan where I work out 3 times a day, but they're only 20-minute workouts. And the
Right.
first one's a push workout, the second one's a pull, and then the third one's gonna be a leg. So over the whole day, it's only an hour of exercise, but they're just little blocks,
Right.
and whatever I'm doing that day is something that I'm interested in. So for some reason, overhead press has just been circling through my mind. So it's very interesting to me. It's very relevant. So I just go in there, do an overhead press workout, and then call it good, eat a meal, and then whatever, 3 4 hours later, I wanted to do some bent over rows. So I did bent over rows, and it just, whatever seems cool to me, right?
Right.
That's the easiest thing to do, is whatever seems cool to you. And um it's something that I got caught in for a long time, is like listening to these YouTube influencers try to sell me like a specific plan, like this is the
Yeah.
one that's going to work. You only need this workout and you'll see a massive amount of success. That could be true if you did that one workout for 20 years and you got so good at it that you were, one of the top in the world.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to be in really great shape, but not everybody might love that workout. I mean, for example,
Yeah.
kettlebell swings. I got really stuck on kettlebell swings for about 6 months, and that's a great workout. But after 6 months, I was pretty bored of it.
Yeah.
So if you can get used to just, going from one thing to another, not getting so dogmatic and attached to one thing,
Or
it
making it
might
too
bode well.
complicated.
Yeah. Yeah. And just going with the flow, because it's okay to get bored. Yeah. I
Yeah.
used to get really down on myself and be like, oh man, I've been doing this plan for 3 months already. Like, I think I'm just going to give it up because it's not even interesting anymore. But that's the exact time to hop on another plan, and like maybe find something else cool that you can get into. Or if you've
Yeah.
been doing strength for 3 months, do cardio, all that type of stuff. So, um, yeah, it's real difficult. And I battled with it for a long time, listening to other people for too much uh, advice that I should have been taking for myself, honestly.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's how it was for me, because it's like I'll whenever I have gone to the gym, it's I'm always self-conscious looking at like there's other people staring at me or like judging me, stuff like that. But then also when I'm like trying to like build up with somebody else to like kind of get have somebody else to build interest and keep that motivation going. But then
Hmm.
it's like you're kind of getting critiqued on everything you do, at least on my experience, and it's always been a big motivation killer. So that's why like my mentality going in was just I'm going to focus on what's comfortable for me.
Yeah.
I wasn't doing like all these extravagant things, and I wasn't even doing the regular like 3 sets of 10, 5 sets of 10. What I actually did, and I got this idea from my older brother because he really caught me onto it, and I like it a lot. Is that I work out almost like a pyramid. It's like
Hmm.
I have a few core workouts that I like the most, so I incorporate that into every exercise. That's typically like deadlift, rows, and bench press, and I'll start from like 55 pounds and just keep on moving up in 30 to 40 pound increments until I hit my max. And then I'll
Yeah.
go back down. And it's easy, it's comfortable. I could push myself at the pace that I want, and I'm not like doing too much or I'm burning myself out or making it
Hmm.
over complicated, but it's comfortable for me.
No, I think that's the perfect workout for the general populace. And like, here I am saying this, don't be dogmatic, but I think it's great because uh if you start at a low weight and then you work up to a heavy one, you're effectively warming up, which a lot
Mhm.
of people skip the warm up, and
That's
that
why
could
I do
get you
it.
injured, right? So I just think it's good for most people, because I, like, personally, I don't like warming up either. It's like I just want to get straight to it. So if I think
Yeah.
of doing a pyramid set, coming up and then going back down, it kind of just works the warm up set into it. And
Hmm.
I'm also someone who likes higher frequency. So if you did a pyramid set of deadlifts every day, I don't think that there's anything wrong with it, as long as you're not doing multiple pyramid sets. If you did one pyramid set every day at noon or whatever, you would probably be seeing very dramatic improvements in that workout. Um,
Yeah.
so no, I think that's great. And yeah,
Yeah,
I, yeah.
because deadlift, I would say I've never been one to focus on my legs, and I because it's like the typical stigma for men is that you need the upper body, the arms, the chest, the
Yeah.
abs, and everything. So I've always neglected my legs, but I came into this focusing a lot on my legs because I want to build more of my own MMA background,
Hmm.
get more into that because like when I'm at an MMA gym training, it's just harmony. There's no other bullshit or anything like that. It's just like the objective's here and I can do it. But with the deadlift, doing the pyramid workout, I started like 55 pounds and worked my way up. When I first started it, 3 months ago, I started at like 160, 170 pounds as my max. But just doing the pyramid thing, which is just what's comfortable for me, and I'm not like overexerting myself trying to do like a massive weight for multiple sets, multiple reps.
Hmm.
Just doing that pyramid thing, my max and my deadlift actually went from 170 all the way up to 300.
Very nice.
Yeah, and in 3 months too. So that's where I feel like you cut out a lot of the shit that makes it too complicated, or you try to like just oversimplify it too much, and that's where it kills a lot of motivation. But if you just do what's comfortable and do your pace, that's you can still see results.
Very much so. Yeah, we're definitely getting into some workout philosophy here, and my juices are flowing now. But
Same.
um, no, I think the the analogy that I like to use a lot, and if we talk about this a bunch, I always am going to refer back to like what did the cavemen do, what did
Yeah.
primitive people do, because they were probably dramatically stronger than us
Oh
in
yeah.
every way, and it's just because they did what they had to, right? um so I mean, if you think about how hard is it for a newborn baby to like walk, it's literally impossible. They don't have the strength. They have to develop it first.
Hmm.
And that's a pretty dramatic example. But like going from a toddler who's just learning to walk to like now, like we don't think about that as exercise, but it was probably actually like a pretty intense strength feat for a child to take its
Yeah.
first steps and start walking and then
Very
make that
physically demanding.
gradual improvement. Yeah. So just doing small things every day, I think, is one of the best ways to make long-term improvements,
Hmm.
because it's just so widespread right now that you have to go in and destroy yourself every time you work out. Like you're going to go hit back today, and whenever you go out of the gym, you shouldn't be able to flex those muscles. Like they should
Yeah.
just be dead. And I think that gets a lot of people injured, and it makes it just too dramatic of like highs and lows. Like on this day, it's terrible. I hate back day. So like you're gonna skip it, or you
Yeah.
go in there and you just hate it. So then it just lowers motivation overall. But just think about it like, walking a little bit farther every day as a baby. Eventually it's gonna be so second thought that you can go walk a few miles and it's not even something worth considering. So if you just
Yeah.
deadlift a little bit every day, just kind of like how you're doing with the pyramid, um, eventually, if you just do a 1 rep max every day of 300 on the deadlift, in 4 or 5 months, that 300 rep or 300 pound rep is gonna feel like walking. You do it
Yeah.
every day, you're used to it. And that's one of the things with strength too, is it's more about neural pathways and getting the technique down than actual hypertrophy. Those are like two separate avenues that you can travel down. So
Right.
yeah, strength is definitely something that I think can be trained every day, but your CNS can get very taxed if you do multiple sets. Like if you're doing multiple pyramid sets, you're going to tax your CNS, and then the next day you're going to feel like you're have a flu or something. You're just tired. So
Yeah.
yeah.
And that's why the pyramid thing really works well because like I only do leg day on Monday and then Fridays I run. I'm trying to get more cardio in because I want to be able to do it where I could run multiple miles like how you're doing it, for example. But I'll do the pyramid. I kind of just apply the pyramid thing to every workout that I do. So I knock out
Yeah.
my leg day on Monday, but then like Tuesday through Thursday, I'll typically do like bench press every day or like rows, stuff like that. And I just do a pyramid, go up and down. And even on the days where I just feel like absolutely shitty and like no motivation at all, the doing the pyramid helps because you're not trying to force yourself to do that high weight for that set for that a fixed amount of set and reps. You're still just doing the pyramid thing that works what's most comfortable with you, especially if it's just like you're feeling like shit that day and everything. And that's why I like what Joe Rogan said about when he was talking to Jordan Peterson's daughter, when it's like, do you have enough energy to drag yourself to the fridge to get something to eat? Well, then you have enough energy to drag yourself through a 10-minute workout. It doesn't have to be 2 hours long or anything like that. I only work out 30 minutes to an hour, 5 days a
Hmm.
week. And
Yeah.
I'm not like acting like I have like dramatic results, but I have results from it. And I think that's where people will especially be more keen on with trying to keep that motivation going.
Yeah. Uh, and since you said about cardio, I think if anybody's looking for something that you're going to see quick results with, cardio is one of them. It's the
Mhm.
quickest to come and quickest to go, right? So if it's just, getting a faster mile time, so you just run 1 mile every day and just try to get that time down. That's going to be something that's pretty easy to improve on every day.
Mhm.
But yeah, that's a big one too, is like another dogma is that like if you go to the gym it has to be an hour, 2 hours, like it definitely doesn't. Going for a 10-minute walk when you got nothing else going on, or you're waiting to go into a meeting or something and you got a half hour,
Right.
like go take a 10-minute walk. Like it's gonna help. It definitely has a hormonal effect, and just having the blood flowing is gonna make you feel better throughout the day. And
And even
it
that small little achievement too.
yeah, yeah. So it's kind of rough, just trying to convince people to do those little things because they don't seem worth it, but I promise they are. It's like just those little things add up and can make for such dramatic effects
Mhm.
on your mood and your happiness and stuff like that. So
Yeah, especially both physically and mentally. Because, like, a good example with me is that I've always had a very scrawny back, and then doing when I lived in California and I was doing some landscaping work in my backyard, I ended up pulling the muscle just on like that center muscle that's right along the spine. I pulled on the left
mhm.
side, and so I've always had issues with my back to where I'd get like sharp pains and everything, and it's because I had no muscle built back there. But for me, just doing these 13 weeks so far of just doing the small amount of cardio that I do, but doing the exercises that just makes it feel comfortable for me, I've been able to like improve my back a lot. My back was probably one of the biggest surprises to me because I haven't really been focusing on it. But just those small little achievements, those small little progression points led to something that a lot bigger. And now I very rarely feel that back pain. And not
Mhm.
only that, but it's like mentally, I feel like I have a lot more confidence to go in there, a lot more confidence in just like everyday things, and just even like applying a small achievement in the gym to a small achievement with just like getting an everyday tasks done still has that positive association.
Yeah. And here's a little more positive association for you. It just kind of came to me as you were saying that. And it's something that I think about all the time, but blood flow, like
Hmm.
just increasing blood flow to one of those areas for 20 or 30 minutes is going to have positive effects, not only like on all the stuff that I said with, being happier and feeling better, but also just the gym motive. Like you're going in there to build, you're going in there to get stronger. If you hit back one day and then you go in the next day and you don't feel as good, but you still go through the motions, maybe you only do like 75% of the weight that you did the day before, it's all right because you're going to start getting some blood through there. It's going to deliver more nutrients. It's going to recover it faster and probably in a more efficient way.
And then because you
So
still managed to get in there and do it.
yeah, and like that's one of the biggest motivations for cardio for me is that whenever you're building your cardio, I think it's the left atrium of the heart that starts to grow, and it starts to make it so that your body's able to deliver oxygen more efficiently to the muscles so that you can work out in weightlifting harder and with more intensity. So
Mhm.
it kind of all goes hand in hand. And I hate um, the dogma in the fitness industry that running will destroy muscle, because I mean, I I
Yeah,
haven't
I've
seen
heard
it.
that
I
too.
run an extreme amount, I feel, and just me going in and stimulating the muscles as often as I do, which is 3 to 5 days a week, um, it's enough. And I mean, I'm not growing probably as quickly as I could, but I'm at least maintaining. And I would say that I'm growing because I feel like I look better now than I did 2 months ago, in some muscle groups. So
Yeah.
I think that the whole running messes with muscle gains thing is just a myth, and that if you run and only run, yeah, you're going to shrink, but that's because your body's adapting to running. So it's going to get lighter and it's going to get more efficient at doing that. But if you're running and lifting, then your body's not just going to disregard one goal for the other. It's
Yeah,
going
it's
to try to
balancing it
adapt,
out.
yeah, to what you're doing, which again is another reason to try to do just a little bit every day rather than going and killing yourself like one day a week. If you can get in and just let your body know, like, hey, I like to lift and I also like to run, like, what can we do? Then your body can make little adjustments as you go, and
Right.
probably in the long run make a lot more gains. So yeah, I think you got a good thing going on there, the pyramid. And I'd like to see you running a little bit more, but
Yeah, I'm not going to give too many spoilers for this because this is a future plan, but me and my friend JJ, he's the
uh-huh.
one that I had on previous episodes,
Yeah,
we're a big thing that we're emphasizing right now is cardio. So I plan on building up my cardio from right now. I just finally achieved the ability to run an entire mile without stopping, but we're shooting a
yeah.
lot higher. I want to be able to get like 5, 8+ miles in cardio.
Rolling is probably the most intense cardio there is. So
Rolling?
yeah, like MMA rolling, like
Oh,
wrestling and
yeah.
stuff. So definitely I would consider that a cardio session more than anything, if you're like writing out a plan or anything. So
Mhm.
um anybody out there too that just doesn't like running but maybe like wrestling, that's killer conditioning. And I did the wrestling team in high school for a month before I called it quits, but that was the most intense training that I think I've ever done, was wrestling training. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, when I was um like a problem with me is that it takes a lot for me to actually build a sweat going with just regular gym exercise. And
Mhm.
that's why I've always really liked MMA, because as soon as I go into MMA and I start doing grappling, wrestling, BJJ and everything, boy, I am just soaked from head to toe. It is,
Mhm.
yeah, it's such a high intense workout because at the what's really especially good motivator and what really builds the cardio with it is, look, the other person that you're trying to wrestle with, he's
Mhm.
trying to pin you and he's trying to submit you. You don't
Yeah.
want that to happen and you want to do it to him at the same time. So it's
Yeah.
this constant like little wrestling clash, and both people are having to constantly figure out when to use the highs and lows of their energy, and you're just constantly seeing a nonstop pace go with it where it just really tears away with cardio.
Yeah. I've definitely always been a lover, not a fighter. So the combat sports have,
Yeah.
I don't think they ever attached me too much. And when I was in wrestling, I would wrestle the other guy, and it would always be like that could be a motivator, but usually it was like, oh man, like he looks really mad at me, like I hope I didn't offend him or somebody. He's probably just like in the zone trying to fucking get his points and shit.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I was never in that headspace. So for me, I've always been like a solo sport type guy. I swam, now I ran the powerlifting meet and everything.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, I think cardio is great. It's definitely an acquired taste. I used to hate it because my knees were so bad from being overweight and sitting and playing video games all the time, that it was pure pain from start to finish anytime I ran.
Mm-hmm.
But it really is just one of those things that, you put the miles in, every mile is going to make the next one easier. So
Mm-hmm.
definitely stick with it. And my source of motivation for cardio, or at least running, has always been like Lord of the Rings, or if anybody plays Skyrim or something.
Yeah.
You're just forcing your character to run like all the way across the freaking country to go do these quests and stuff. And it's like, he can do it, why can't I? And like,
Exactly.
so I always think of freaking Lord of the Rings whenever I'm running, and I think it's cool. And actually, I have a Pandora station that does the soundtrack for the movies. So
Do
every
you
now and then I
really?
like, yeah, I imagine myself getting like the sweet aerial shot of me like running across the landscape.
That's awesome.
Um, but yeah, so yeah, no, I mean, I did my freaking half marathon pretty much a month ago. I think it was the 21st of May, and then
Okay.
the lifting meet was the 26th of June. So it was about a month apart, and this is the strongest I've ever been, period. Like my old squat max was like 250, and my old deadlift max was like 340. My bench was pretty high. It was like 250 before, so that only went up about 20 pounds. But the
Okay.
other two, I mean, my squat went up 70 pounds. My deadlift went up uh 20 pounds as well. I tried 417, which would have been like an all-time record. I probably could have got 405, but yeah. And yeah, and that's in close proximity to running 8 miles a day.
Yeah.
You know, like for anyone out there that is scared of cardio, please don't be. It's my roommate actually put it really nicely. He called it the momentum of fitness. You know, like just getting
That
good
is
at
actually a good
one
way to put
thing.
it.
Yeah, getting good at one modem of fitness might motivate you to get good at another. You know,
Hmm.
and then getting all of them.
And then
And
building that discipline in one
mhm.
area will kind of like apply everywhere else.
Oh
And
yeah.
that's why I feel like with me especially, you build a habit of going to the gym, it's going to really build a habit of promoting good mental health for yourself, because you can apply the small achievements from everyday working out, building the momentum from running, and applying it across different disciplines. You could also apply it to just kind of everything that you do in daily routine, whether it's in the process of getting cleaning through your house, which even cleaning your entire house can be a cardio exercise
Oh yeah.
depending on how you put
Oh
it.
yeah. I
And
mean, in comparison to sitting on the couch, like you
yeah.
might be burning double the calories. You don't know, depending on the amount of cleaning. You're moving furniture and like
Yeah.
walking around, doing the back and forth reps with the vacuum. Like it really can be
Mhm.
a good amount of calorie burn in comparison.
Yeah.
Um,
And that discipline too can help, it can help you so much too, not just with like the physical discipline, but
uh-huh.
mentally, emotionally, and everything.
Oh yeah. And that was one of one of the things that I was diagnosed with was anxiety severely not too long ago. And it's just I figured out through my own like introspection that it was me stressing over things that I wasn't doing. So fitness was a big one, you know, just being 250 pounds and like not doing anything about it. I was actively ignoring it. Like I had to put in effort to be like, yeah, don't worry about that. But
Yeah.
if I'm like actively putting effort towards it, that means that eventually I'm going to run out of energy towards it and it's going to bother me, and that's where depression comes in. I was trying to ignore it for so long that I got tired of ignoring it. And then it's just this whole mountain of anxiety just falls down on me. And it's like,
Yeah.
wow, I am 250 pounds overweight and I don't do a single thing about it. And, that's just a terrible cycle that it is. So doing something about it is one of the keys, I think, to healing that mental disorder or mental unhealthiness that you have is, you know, almost satisfying it a little bit, because that's how I see anxiety is it's something that's nagging you that you either can't change or that you can change and you're not. So if you can change it, like definitely do, because that's the
Right.
only way to extinguish it really. Um, so yeah, and just like you're saying, it goes for everything. It's improved the way that I work. It's improved the way that I treat people. It bleeds over so much, and it's kind of one of the happy side effects that I hope comes from people finding fitness. If they can
Mhm.
put their discipline into something and see success, that they find that they can put discipline into other things and find success.
Right. And that's why I actually like trying to start my own social media challenge. That's why I started doing the Quarantino challenge, where
Mm-hmm.
it's all you got to do is just spend 30 minutes to an hour, like more so an hour, but like 30 minutes to an hour, 5 days out of every week, doing something either that you always wanted to do, but always push off, like working out, for example, going for running or anything like that. Do that for that small period of time. Or if you want to build a new hobby, build a new skill, whether it's learning how to play the guitar or anything like that,
Mm-hmm.
but doing just that 30 minutes to an hour of day and having that like own little personal goal thing that keeps it going, that can help kind of like build people towards a positive direction. Because it's all like, it's, I think too, a lot of people, they're like, they want to, and this is me as well. It's like, okay, I started working out. I want to see major results like that. I don't want to wait. I don't want to
Yeah.
have to go through all this grind over and over and over again. And I don't want to have to spend all this time constantly doing all these extra things. And so, but I felt like narrowing it down to where it's just like just a small little daily goal. 30 minutes to an hour, get in there, do it, and boom, you're done. You're
Hmm.
not only completing something that you've always pushed off, but you're getting the emotional and the mental gratification out of it. And it's going to be a confidence booster and a motivator through your day-to-day routine.
Very much. Yeah. No, I totally agree with that. Um, and it's funny that you brought that up because both the times that I've been able to have success with this whole fitness thing and, being in shape, I had some other goal. It wasn't
Mhm.
like I want results now. It was something that was like far off in the distance. And I knew that it was going to take discipline and just kind of going through the motions every day, really.
Mhm.
Um, so I wasn't looking for results immediately. It's weird, but like it's almost like that's our own vice or like our own double-edged sword is like you're so motivated right now, but it's because you want results right now.
Yeah. And
So,
it's like, is that motivation going to stick around?
yeah. And the first time around I was whatever, I think I was like 236 at the time. I went to go in and sign up for the Navy and I was like, look, man, I want to be a Navy SEAL. And he's like, he probably looked at me, he was like, yeah, okay. Like 236 pounds, you want to be a Navy SEAL?
Yeah.
And he, I saw it
And
and I
hey,
was
look
like,
at you now.
yeah, and I saw that look on his face and I was like, okay, I understand. I'm 230 pounds, I'm 40 pounds overweight, whatever. But I'm willing to enlist, go do another job for whatever 2-3 years while I get in shape and then try to re-rate and try out for the SEALs. Like that's
Right.
how far out my motivation was. It wasn't like I need to be skinny tomorrow. It was me saying like, all right, I'm gonna settle in and do this for years.
Yeah,
And
you're looking
then
in the long term.
yeah, and then I saw success. Is and any time that it wasn't like that, it was, run super hard until I fall on my face and then relapse and go binge eat and gain 20 pounds back.
Yeah.
So it's it's just far and few between, especially these days. And we've already talked about it with the instant validation that's rampant in all of our social media and
Yeah.
technology. It's hard
Very
to,
hard.
shoot your goals to a long distance place, you know. So yeah, doing little things like you're saying, setting the little goals to get from day to day is pivotal, I think, for a lot of people. And I do it
Mhm.
myself. Like even though I want, whatever, to be on the Olympia stage and be the best bodybuilder in the world, maybe in 15 years, I still have to, like, today I want to hit this weight, or today I want to run this fast. Like,
Mhm.
I still have to do that, or else it's like, what am I doing from day to day? I'm just being a zombie. Like it's kind of impossible. So
Yeah. And at least having those small stepping stones is what's going to lead to that big achievement.
yeah, and it's probably a broken record now too, but
That's what
it's
it
just like I said,
is.
like old people are always right. It's like we always brush them off as young kids. We're like, yeah, whatever, old man, or whatever, grandpa, whatever, dad.
Yeah.
But man, they did it already.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's just listening to the elders, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Oh, and then so I wanted to get into more detail about the video that you also released, the psycho, or
mhm.
if I am I pronouncing that right, the psycho thing, CICO.
That sounds a little cooler. I think it's more popularly said Seiko, but
Seiko. Okay.
it's an I, so you could say Seiko, Psycho. But
Yeah, but I was watching that video. It's you had a
mhm,
really good breakdown, not just overall in regards to the exercising and a lot of the stuff we're talking about, but also with just like being able to balance out your nutrition, your dieting, and then as well as mental health and everything too.
mhm. Yeah, that was a video that I kind of felt like I had to do because it was sitting, it was almost, I was getting a little bit of anxiety about it. It was like, man, you got to make this video. You got to make this video. And it's like, wow, I don't know if I'm ready. Like my channel's small. Like, is it even worth it for me to do that? And, sometimes I just got to tell myself to, enjoy the process.
Mm-hmm.
I like making videos. I like sharing the information. I like uh, organizing my thoughts, honestly. I kind of see the videos as an art for me, and
Mm-hmm.
just trying to uh I guess what is that called? Like doing art, you express yourself. I'm expressing
Oh
myself.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So that's all my channel really is. It's not even me trying to go out and convince people or change their life or make them change. Like I just have these thoughts and I like to share them with people, and hopefully it's valuable. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, did you have any specific questions about it or?
Well, so I liked in particular how you're breaking down the dieting in it, because I think that's where a lot of people struggle with too. Like diet is the biggest thing that like a
Mm-hmm.
lot of people fight with. Like exercising and lifting, I pretty much I have down, and I have a good healthy habit of it, but it's my diet that's always the issue, because it's so easy to just go to those quick gratification meals, whether it's McDonald's or just like that random candy bar stuff like that. But just in general, like how a good way to balance out your intake of what your diet is, and like how to effectively burn off those calories and everything.
Yeah, that's just another one of those examples of big industry taking advantage of our weaknesses, and
Mm-hmm.
it's almost completely out of our control because uh, most all fast food is just a really palatable mixture of fat and carbs, which is
Mm-hmm.
not really natural in nature. Um, how the cavemans lived. If we think back
Yeah.
a little bit, if you're a caveman and you're running around, like just think your state, wherever any listener is living at. If it's Arizona and you're running around, if you're in the middle of the desert, I don't see fruit growing. I don't see broccoli growing. There's nothing really to eat besides animals. So the really all you're going to get is protein and fat. Whereas if you're in the Amazon, there's a lot of animals too, but there's probably a lot more plants and
Mm-hmm.
maybe something that you could eat. And really, if we're being realistic, there's not a lot of plants that are edible to humans. We've genetically created a lot of plants that are, but there's still a very small percentage of all the plants on the planet. Um, but yeah, it's just not natural to see a high concentration of fat and carbohydrates at the same time. And that's what a burger is. That's what pizza is. It's cheese on bread with fatty meat, and it tastes freaking great.
Yeah.
And our bodies respond to that because we're pre-wired to survive, and eating foods like that is giving us a lot of energy. It makes our output more. We can hunt more, we can reproduce more, whatever.
Get that
So
dopamine jump too.
yeah, so it really does suck to be a modern human as far as diets go, because burgers are great, they taste great, but they just don't feel great.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't make things very healthy in the body, which is unfortunate. And I don't see most food industries changing their ways, because more protein and less fat, or more protein and less carbs, is not going to taste better, so
And
people
it's
aren't going to
gonna
buy
harm
it.
money. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of my pipe dreams too, is to be able to sell like pre-made meals that are health based. So if you're buying it, then you are buying it for health, but that's a difficult thing to do on its own. So
Yeah.
yeah.
But hey, it's definitely a good goal though, especially because that's another long-term thing. Like you could do the right small necessary steps now to build towards like that, for example, to where you could actually hit that goal and it is achievable, whether it's like
Mhm.
5 years from now or 10 years or even way sooner than that.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know though. The science community will probably beat me to it and find some chemical that they can put in burgers that makes you feel full or something. But then again, then the industries wouldn't like that because they want you to buy more burgers. So
Yeah. And plus
conspiracy theory there.
yeah, and
But
plus I'm sure those chemicals themselves, they would like capitalize on it, potentially leading to other health issues or stuff like that. And they're
oh yeah,
taking some like cheap routes.
no, they'd probably turn it into a weight loss pill and make a bunch of money off that and whatnot. So no, it's very difficult. And I don't eat out much anymore. Um, I shouldn't say that totally because work makes it pretty hard. And I get into work at 3 in the morning and then I get off around, or I don't get into work, but I wake up for work at 3 a.m. and then I get home around 6. So the whole middle of the day is like shot. And if I can't make it to a grocery store, then I'm not going to be able to eat without ordering food or, packing it, right? So
Yeah.
most of the time I'm eating like canned tuna and potatoes or something, it's just like super crude food just to get by on the work days. But um I'll order a salad with like extra chicken on it. Like I don't think that's a bad meal at all for anybody.
Yeah, that's what
Um
I've been eating more of.
yeah, so I love a salad. And I don't know, as you eat higher protein more and more, your body, I think, starts to figure it out. It's like, oh, yeah, no, protein's pretty lit. Like, we need more of that. And it makes things like, grilled chicken breast taste a little bit better after a while. Your body gets attuned to it. So, um, yeah, just trying to make it through this foodscape that we have is very difficult, especially if you don't like to cook, because I love cooking. So it makes
Yeah.
it easier for me to come home and make something that's a little bit more anabolic. Um, and still put some flair to it and make it taste good. So for people that don't like to cook and they like to eat out, it's very difficult because most of those restaurants do not have your best interest in mind. They just want your
Yeah.
money. But yeah,
That
a salad with chicken is probably a good way to go.
Yeah, and see, that's how I am. It's like I can cook, but I really hate cooking. I don't enjoy it at all. And so that's where my struggle is, because it's a lot easier to just get up and drive to McDonald's and get something from there versus having to go to the store, get these different ingredients and make and combine them in a certain way that's
Mm-hmm.
best suited for you. So it's like that right there is something that I'm still in the process of working on, because I really don't like cooking. I don't.
Yeah. And I don't know. I guess I haven't really explored this topic. Every time I make a video or talk about dieting on my channel, it's always with the assumption that people are cooking. So maybe it's a good
Yeah.
thing that we're doing this. But
Kind of
yeah.
like break down maybe a stigma that is attributing to people not doing it, because I do feel like that could tie into, like, we're talking about people are wanting this instant gratification and
Mm-hmm.
everything like that. And with dieting, it's a lot easier to go get buy a meal from a fast food place or get DoorDash versus make your own thing. So it's like that. And it could be another thing if people could like start like working more on like being able to have the discipline to get control of their own diet, what foods they make and put into their bodies. That could help as well.
Yeah. And one of the things that I talked about in that video was like getting, again, with the dogma, right? There's all these fad diets out there. I was a big proponent of the carnivore diet for a while, keto diet. And funny enough, those were almost integral to my downfall of my first weight loss journey. And then I've also tried paleo. I've been vegan for a month. I've been vegetarian for a longer period of time than that. So I've tried quite a few of them. And the crappy part about those is that, for me, is that I feel like I'm following rules all the time, and it gets
Yeah.
tiring. Like, you don't want to follow rules all the time. That's why fast food is so attractive. Is like you just pull in, say what you want, and you get it. Like,
Yeah.
so having a, I guess, a method to eating and dieting that feels natural, kind of the same way that I'm talking with the working out, right? Like just
Mhm.
going with what you feel on that day, I think is really powerful because, at this point now, I don't think of not eating fat and carbs. I just think I really enjoy eating protein and veggies and fruit. Like I just want to maximize that. And that's all I think about. It's not like what I can't have, it's what I can have more of. So if
Yeah.
I can just eat more chicken, more veggies, more fruit, it's a green marker in my day. So it's not like I'm basically just focusing on negative things. I'm focusing only on good things, which has helped me quite a bit. So
Yeah. And I think that once like you build the habit of going to the gym and everything, I feel like that does actually turn over to dieting and whatnot. Cause like for me, for example, very big thing that I was struggling with, especially the first couple months of working out, was that
when I would always be nauseous either going into the gym or like halfway through my workout. So I'm like thinking and processing while working out. It's like, okay, why am I feeling nauseous? What could I attribute it to? Was it something that I ate the today or the day before? And so I was like more like breaking that stuff down and finally able to isolate it. It's like a bad diet habit that I had, I figured out was eating late. Eating late was the primary cause of why I would wake up with such bad stomach aches, nausea, and everything, and why it was so difficult for me to be able to like get a good workout in, especially when I was getting up at 5:30 in the morning to work out. And so I was like, okay, I found this issue in my diet that is attributing to this issue in the gym. So if I go ahead and stop eating at like 8 p.m. on, then it cuts out that issue entirely and then it improves my gym time. And then like I've noticed my body's becoming, especially after a workout, my body is craving more of that chicken salad, more of those like those high healthy proteins, more of salads or like some fruits and veggies and everything like that. And I feel like that diet improvement will come naturally with the exercising, because like now if I eat any type of grease, it'll fuck me up. So it's like my body is
Yeah.
telling me I need healthy stuff.
Mm-hmm. And it's like one of those things that if you've been eating McDonald's for a year, your body's probably just adapted to the bad portions of the diet, right? So
Mm-hmm.
that might be an argument that someone makes, like, well, I eat grease all the time and I don't have a messed up stomach. And it's like, well, yeah, you've been eating it all the time and your body adapted. And that's why you see one of the biggest issues for bodybuilders is whenever they come off the diet and they go back to eating normal again, their stomach's super sensitive, but it's because they've been doing a 3 or 4 month prep trying to
Mm-hmm.
lose weight. So they're only eating like chicken and salad and veggies and stuff like that. And it's like super clean. And the body gets accustomed to like,
Mm-hmm.
you know, having straight stuff. So anytime you reintroduce something shitty back in, it's gonna have a pretty negative effect, right?
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I lost my thought.
No worries. I was gonna use it
Go ahead.
vegetarians an example, because like
Uh-huh.
vegans, if they just all of a sudden have meat like 6 7 months later, then
Mm-hmm.
that'll really mess them up.
Oh yeah, no, and that's one of the amazing things about the human body is that it can consume all these things, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and that's why I think that like in that same video, I kind of say, if the vegetarian diet works for you or the keto diet does work for you and you feel good and you're losing weight and you can do it for an extended amount of time without having some type of anxiety or stress over it, then you should continue. But
Right.
humans live in different parts of of the world. I was going to say country, much bigger than the country. Um, but the carnivores will bring up the case of the native Alaskans that lived way north, where there is no plants at all, and all
Mhm.
they can hunt are seals and like whales and stuff, and they're eating that. It's only protein and fat. Versus someone who lives in a more tropical area, maybe they can have a greater portion of their diet from veggies, or maybe strictly on veggies. um, the human body is just amazing and it's able to adapt and do whatever is best for it. So, kind of to what you were talking about a second ago, I think it's really good that you listened to your body and like figured out the thing with the nausea, because, and I was guilty of it for a very, very long time, but just not listening to my body, because your body knows so much and it's sending you
Mhm.
signals every single moment of the day. And if we would just stop and listen to them half the time, we would probably figure a lot more stuff out a lot quicker and improve our health.
Yeah.
Because like, I don't know, I'm on the nicotine right now, so I do smoke vape a little bit. um it it's cool. I get the little rush, the nicotine rush, but then like
Lo-
immediately after it wears off, I get like a little headache and it feels pretty shitty.
Yeah.
And I don't listen to it because I just concentrate on the little nicotine rush. And then like with the food, you eat the burger, you eat the pizza, and that little dopamine spike, it feels good, it's fun. And then afterwards you feel like shit, but you just don't remember that shitty part, you remember the good part, and then
Yeah.
you get addicted to it. So it's probably one of the most useful but one most difficult acquired skills that I've gotten, is like being able to read my body and listen to the signals that it's sending me and translate them into actions and stuff like that. But yeah.
Yeah. No, it was definitely a difficult thing for me to get used to. And that's what I'm still in the learning process of, like with cardio and running.
So
Mhm.
like I have a common issue with running that I'll just get too dehydrated that like halfway through the run or already be tired like at the start of the run. So I'll look at like I looked up, like saying, for example, like with some runners, they'll drink a full bottle of water about hour or 2 hours before the run, and then like 15 minutes before the run itself, they'll drink like half a bottle, but in increments until the run, and
Uh-huh.
that'll help knock out dehydration entirely. And so, like I started doing that, and I noticed that I wasn't getting so tired and so fatigued and so dehydrated so quickly while running.
Mhm.
And then also simultaneously, like I would be just I was noticing too that the way I was running, my form, how I was planting my feet and going through the motions was also affecting just like my overall attitude and like
Definitely.
my how I felt in the motion of it. But once I just like put a little more pep in my step and like start adjust my form, just being very self-conscious throughout the entire time with not just my diet, but just like how my body reacts to the exercise has been what's really helped a lot with kind of like listening to the body.
Mhm. Yeah, and it's like even like a funny example that we can say is like imagine you're sitting on a bean bag and it's infinitely adjustable basically, right? Because you can move the beans in the bag wherever they want to go.
Hmm.
The longer you sit in it, the like closer you're going to get to like the most comfortable orientation of the beans. Like it's just the more miles you put in with running, your body's going to eventually settle into what is best for it.
Hmm.
um and it's just getting in there and doing it and letting the body figure it out. Because like if you're sitting on the bean bag and it's a little bit cockeye, like you're going to get a little bit of discomfort in your back or whatever, so you're going to
Yeah.
adjust, and like eventually you're just going to get to a point where you feel zero discomfort. Same thing with running, same thing with lifting. And yeah, it's just stuff like that. The body's trying to tell us stuff all the time, and it's like we ignore it pretty often. But
Yeah.
yeah, I think that's kind of in part due to some of the stuff that we've already talked about, just being influenced all the time, being sold on things all the time. Like we ignore what we think is right or what we feel is right for something that
Public
we
pressure
see.
too.
Yeah. So
The
it's very
it's
unfortunate.
yeah. And but I feel like especially like if we just the general notion of promoting that individualism and just like trying to have a positive impact and to promote that positivity is definitely a good step in the right direction. Like even if like with my podcast, for example, it's I a lot of what my reasoning behind doing the podcast is because like what you're saying before, you feel like you have something that you can contribute that can genuinely help people. And so I kind of have the same liking and thinking to it. And lost my train of thought where I was going with
Well, yeah. So
that.
just to piggyback off of what you were saying there, it's like sometimes like I was saying, I get a little bit of stage fright about putting
Yeah.
things out like this, and like I don't want to make that Seco video because I don't have a large following, I don't have clout. Like
Don't
why
want
do I
any
deserve
type
to
of
do it?
scrutiny and
Yeah,
whatnot.
like why do I deserve to output something like that and like put my stuff in the world? But it's like, again, like with the cavemen, like it's just communication. Like I just want to talk to people, like bounce ideas. And I
Hmm.
said in the video, like, let me know what you think was wrong, let me know what you think was right. And like I mean that genuinely. And I don't know, I guess I don't get the vibe of that off of every YouTube influencer, but it's
Yeah.
definitely something that I mean with uh full genuineness.
Yeah.
uh but just like I don't know, I'm just trying to talk to people. That's it. I'm not trying to sell something. And if I do ever get paid for this, that'd be cool. But
Yeah.
like, why would I do it right now? And if my only aim was to get paid, I'm not at all. So it's just me sharing. And honestly, originally I made the YouTube channel just because my grandma said like, hey, I liked when you did videos, you should do those again. So I was like, all right, well, maybe I should pick it back up again. So
Yeah.
it's just fun. And sharing with people, I think, is a good thing. That's all we can do really, is just communicate with each other and see what we find.
Yeah, because I feel like the more that there's more sharing and like talking about the positive things and like good methods, progressions, and everything, it'll be a good counterbalance to a lot of the negativity that we're constantly seeing, and then the negativity that ties in with being sold and influenced constantly. Because there's all these people that are gonna be like, "I'll give you this like one step thing that'll solve all your problems and everything," and a lot of it stems from just how our society as a whole is just attributing to a lot of these vices and instant gratifications through all these different advertisers, influencers, all just trying to get into your head to follow their rules, to follow their thing, to do their thing, to buy their thing. I feel like definitely highlight the individual and watch how they grow, watch how they just bloom like a flower.
Mm-hmm.
Because like with my podcast, like I have an episode that I plan on coming back out where I plan on talking about like drug and alcohol recovery, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And the goal there is like, look, I'm not trying to make money off of this, I'm not trying to sell you on anything, but if you're that one guy at 2 a.m who pulls up YouTube to look at something because you're just like feeling absolutely horrible, whether it's about yourself and just emotionally, mentally just feeling absolutely horrible, and you don't have that motivation to get in the gym or to just get going in general, if you
Mm-hmm.
could come across that video like with some of your stuff, like some of my stuff, if it's able to touch them in the sense that kind of help wake them up or
Mm-hmm.
get them into gear to go in the right direction, and then we are achieved our goal there,
Right.
because you got
Yeah.
to have an impact on somebody, and somebody who genuinely wants to improve now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's kind of interesting because I feel like everybody has their own little journey that they're on,
Mm-hmm.
and whether or not they come across my channel at the right time or the wrong time is unfortunate or fortunate, but it's just all the ebb and the flow. I like to say that a lot, the ebb and the
Yeah.
flow in the world, but um yeah, and yeah, I don't know. It's just
Hey, love and
that's
positivity makes the world go round.
yeah, that's why my slogan is keep going, because like no matter what track you're on, it'll self-actuate eventually.
Mhm.
If you keep going down the wrong path, eventually you're gonna hit a wall where you realize that you need to change directions and go on the right path. And yeah, I'm not like the Lord wise, like know everything and have all the answers type of stuff, right? So I always just time is like the best teacher. So I always just trying to get people along really is all I'm trying to do. And
Yeah.
like you said, just having a positive effect if I can. But so
Yeah.
I think we got pretty similar motives here.
Yeah, I agree. Because and that's why I've been liking a lot of your content, especially that little clip of you like just dancing in the gym.
Yeah.
It's stuff like that that'll really like help motivate people, but kind of, because I think a lot of the issue that stems is the fact that they don't see the person behind the camera as necessarily human, in the aspect that they have flaws and stuff like that. You typically only see like this one portrayal, and then once that portrayal goes a different direction, then all of a sudden shit hits the fan. But I think just being open and honest, and like obviously we're not going to know everything, but of course we have the right intentions to try to have a positive impact, and that's where it matters.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's definitely something that I try to do as much as I can, is just be as normal as possible. I think there's definitely a shortage of that in media these days. It's all like a delusion.
Hmm.
And it kind of sucks whenever you like a channel and you log in and watch a video or something, and you kind of get to be in that world for a little bit, but then once it's over, it's like, oh man, that's over. And it's like missing, like, I don't know. I guess I
That
kind of want to show people that bodybuilding is cool or fitness is cool, but it doesn't have to be your whole life. Like it,
yeah.
it just it can be a part. Like I'm not taking it so seriously that I'm weighing all the food that I'm eating, that like if I miss a workout, then I'm beating myself up. Like it's fun, I enjoy it, and it has good effects for my mental health and my physical health. So
Hmm.
yeah.
Oh
No,
yeah,
yeah.
I definitely agree with that. It's definitely the same effect that's been having for me. Like I still feel like a little scrawny bitch at times, but I
I'm
feel
very
like I
glad that it's having that effect on you.
yeah.
But
Yeah, but
no,
no,
yeah.
it's always been like that. But it's like I definitely feel physically and mentally as well a lot of big improvements, and I feel like if being transparent in this whole process can help kind of people catch on to that as well.
Yeah, no, and there are a few videos out from some of the big influencers that I watch, but just about how things aren't fun anymore. And it's kind of rampant, like
Hmm.
you can't go, nobody goes to the gym and they're like, oh, I'm gonna have fun. They're like, I'm gonna go punish myself. Like
Yeah, and
yeah,
then
nobody
you're
goes to college to study something that they enjoy. It's like I'm gonna go grind and do something that I have to do so that I can get something that pays well. It's like it just kind of sucks.
and then it's the peer pressure and the like public pressure that really factors into that.
Hmm. Yeah. No,
Yeah.
there's definitely a lot of society stuff going on here, and I think that might be just an America thing, that only me and you and our American viewers are gonna really vibe with. And I'm not sure how things are in other countries, and they might be in a different phase of life than our
Yeah.
country is, where they're not dealing with this type of stuff. But yeah, definitely in America, at least it's rough. We're just being scattershotted with different ideas a lot. And
Yeah. And then you have to, it's like what a big killer for motivation for me as well is just like seeing everything online, all these people that are better or that are like already way ahead. That as well is also like a killer with motivation. And then you just try to resort to the instant gratification to where, okay, it's like how can I get past all like 6 months, year, whatever, how long it is, to where I could go ahead and just get that results now. And
yeah,
it's a hard thing, and it's kind of like trying to separate reality from fiction.
it's almost it's one of those moments where, like, with great power comes great responsibility, and a lot of people take advantage of it and
Hmm.
use it in a bad way, I think. And if you're the most fit man on earth and you have the ability to influence millions, and you use it just to sell a product that doesn't work, or it doesn't do what you're telling people it's going to do, it's kind of on you. But
Hmm.
it's a shitty move, bro. Like
Yeah.
you're basically lying to thousands and millions of people just to make a dollar. And it's it's almost not their fault. Like, I don't blame them too much, because it does seem very tantalizing to have that opportunity where,
Yeah.
at the cost of many others, you could have everything that you ever wanted. But I don't know. I guess we'll see if we can manage ourselves if we ever get there to that point.
Yeah. No kidding. Find the balance.
Yeah, be able to keep to our morals even with the world at our fingertips.
Yeah.
So
That's why I always maintain the idea of never forget where you come from, because I think that's where the ego and pride always tends to really fuck you up, is that you forget those struggles and everything.
yeah, I think that's a double-edged sword, because if you keep your foot in the past too much too, it might hold you back a little bit. So I
Yeah.
see how people can get lost. They might, maybe they have to let go of that for a little bit to find their success, but then once they're there, they can revisit, but they just don't. And they do forget where they came from.
Yeah.
So yeah.
But hey, I mean, so long as we have fun in the process, and I mean, as long as we know who we are and that our intentions are good, that's what matters, right?
Yeah, I hope, man, I wish the world could have a little bit more fun. It's just been, and kind of like how we were being nostalgic earlier about when we were kids, it just hasn't been fun for a long time, bro. I'm just straight up
It
not having a
really
good
has.
time.
I can definitely agree with that. It's just like I wish things could just go back to where they're so much simpler.
Yeah. And that's something that the old people said too. They're like, you're gonna miss these times. You're gonna wish you were a kid again once you're an adult.
And when, of course, when you're a kid at that time, you're thinking, it's like, nah, I'm honestly not going to give two shits, and I'm just going to want to hurry up and grow up. And then it's like you go back and like, I miss not having rent.
No, I feel like 17, like right there, that would have been sick. Just to
Yeah.
stay 17. It would have been perfect.
Yeah. Yeah. Damn. Uh, yeah, but I think that wraps it up. We've actually been going a good while. I had some great conversation with you, dude. Had a lot of fun.
Yeah, no, we should definitely do it again. This one got the jitters out for sure. I was pretty nervous coming into this one, so
Oh yeah,
yeah.
don't worry. I come in at every single one nervous, so but don't worry. Always here to have a good time.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for watching. If you liked it, be sure to subscribe, hit that notification bell, hit that like button. Go ahead and follow Adam's channel as well. I apologize if I pronounce your last name wrong because I said B last time, but you said BB. Is that right?
Oh, BB, yeah.
BB. Yeah. Go
Yeah.
ahead and follow his channel, subscribe, check out his content. I'll add it in here as well. So that way they could go ahead and check you out. And hey, I'd be love to have you back on again in future time.
Yeah, I got some pretty big ideas that'll make good topics for other podcasts. So I'd
Oh
love
yeah.
to be back on.
Oh yeah, hell yeah, definitely. But yeah, again, guys, this channel is all about changing the world, and it all starts just with a positive impact. So again, subscribe, hit that notification bell, like, check out Adam's channel. He's a fucking badass. He's awesome, and we'll see you in the next one.